Street Fighter 6 is one of the best fighting game packages I've ever encountered. It's absolutely jam-packed with things to do right out of the gate. Capcom has delivered a diverse collection of game modes, fighting styles, and opportunities for personal expression, which work to both reflect the diverse fan base that has rallied around the franchise over the last 35 years and rebuff any fears that the studio would repeat its past mistakes. Street Fighter 6 arrives with 3 separate, fully featured game modes that complement one another: Battle Hub, Fighting Ground, and the single-player focused World Tour mode. World Tour is unlike anything I've seen before in a fighting game, with the closest comparison being something akin to Yakuza Light. You're able to create a custom character and then cut around a hub-based map based off Final Fight's legendary Metro City. From there, you're free to get into scraps, complete quests, level up stats like damage output and defense, and progress through a relatively self-contained story. Ryu, for instance, is quite happily tucked away in Japan, trying to figure out how to use a mobile phone, and Chun-Li is teaching Kung Fu in Metro City's Chinatown district. They've beaten in Bison, saved the day, and their position in the Street Fighter lore is at an end. They're pretty much retired. The real brilliance of World Tour lies in its variety. The ability to mix and match special moves from the entire roster with a character's base fighting style is a lot of fun. Imagine having Dalsim's ranged normals and ability to teleport, Manon's command grab and damage stacking ability, Luke's ludicrous fast fireball, and Ken's multi-hitting dragon punch. World Tour lets you piece together initially broken characters, and it's undeniably enjoyable. Not only to find new combo paths, but to better understand how each core fighter on the roster has been created and balanced. As entertaining as World Tour can be, it's the Fighting Grounds mode where you'll initially sink the majority of your time. It's here where you'll sharpen your skills, test them against other players online, and take part in traditional activities. A classic arcade mode, a new extreme battle mode which allows you to fight with modifiers that spice encounters up. The training systems offered throughout are extremely robust, regardless of whether you're a day one beginner or a seasoned professional. Street Fighter 6 provides all the tools you need to gradually improve. All the usual stuff is here, such as input and attack information displays, but there's also an excellent visual indicator of frame data for you and your opponent, which clearly messages who has an advantage. When you're sick of training, you can always blast through arcade mode, fights with AI characters, which are bookended by artwork and a voiceover that fleshes out your chosen fighter's actions around the events of Street Fighter 6. This is actually where most of the real Street Fighter story elements are found, so if you're jonesing to find out who new final boss JP is and where he fits into all of this, you're better off firing through this arcade mode ladder than sitting through World Tour mode. Once you familiarise yourself with the basics, it's the Battle Hub where the vast majority of your time will be spent. Somehow this online mode has managed to foster a strange sort of community, players from around the world gathering to show off their horrific creator character monstrosities or rallying around a cabinet to watch 2 top players go at it. Online matchmaking was, despite the small pool of opponents during the review period, almost completely flawless, undoubtedly some of the best netcode seen in any fighting game. Naturally, the most important component of any fighting game are the unique systems that give it its own particular flavour. Street Fighter 3 had parries, Street Fighter 5 had the V system, and Street Fighter 6 has the drive system. And it might just be the most interesting development in the series' history. It's all governed by a single meter, the drive gauge, and by spending certain amounts of this you can perform several different actions. There's drive reversal, which acts almost identically to the V reversal in Street Fighter 5, essentially acts as a get off me move and knocks your opponent away, temporarily mitigating any pressure they might be putting on you. Drive rush is a sudden dash forward, allowing you to continue combos where previously it would not be possible, or simply just trying to catch your opponent off guard. The drive parry, which acts as not only a way of deflecting the opponent's attacks, but also as a means of recovering your drive gauge. Holding down both medium attack buttons puts you in a parry state, where you will automatically deflect any incoming attacks, although you will be very vulnerable to grabs. Hitting both medium attacks as the attack lands causes a perfect parry, which actually allows you to counter with your own attacks. The timing on this is very precise, so it's a big risk, but for a hefty reward. One of the most instantly effective uses is the drive impact, a huge armoured strike that will blast through 3 incoming hits to deliver a crushing blow, leaving your opponent completely vulnerable. It's extra scary because if you block a drive impact, you get pushed back substantially, and if you hit the edge of the screen from this pushback, you get stunned automatically. There's a lot of mind games around this technique. Knowing when to use it to catch your opponent out and not just throw it out wildly or predictably is going to be a key part of what makes a top player, as it is easy to counter by simply doing a drive impact of your own on reaction. Finally, you can spend some of this meter to perform overdrive versions of your own special moves, such as EX moves in other Street Fighter games. The most radical aspect of this system is that you start every round with a full drive gauge. Traditionally in a fighting game, you build up this meter throughout a match, and you can spend it on enhanced special moves, super moves, and other means of turning the tide in battle in your favour. The meter is usually part of or heavily linked to a game's comeback mechanic, something you can use to drastically swing the momentum of the fight. Here, this is not the case. All parts of the drive system are available to both players from the word fight. So, the game has you empowered and fully stocked up, capable of pulling off your best stuff at the start of the round, rather than giving it to you just in time to steal one for your opponent. You're not building to a conclusion, but instead have all the tools to build a strategy. It's completely at odds with not only how Street Fighter but most fighting games tend to work nowadays, and is a major part of what makes Street Fighter 6 feel so fresh. Whether you're a hardcore fighting game player or a casual Street Fighter fan who hasn't touched the series in a generation or so, Street Fighter 6 has something for you, and not only that, it manages to offer enough reason for both sides to dip their toe into the other side's water. It's a strong package, arguably the best overall fighting game package ever made, but it'd be all for naught if the fighting system that underpins it wasn't up to much. It just happens to be the most flexible, versatile, and expressive combat in a Street Fighter game to date. Street Fighter 6 is a perfect place to start, or a brilliant continuation. An exceptional time for those who are looking to play 30 hours or 3,000. We give Street Fighter 6 5 stars out of 5.
This is your last ride! Let's go! My beautiful body is built better!